Hey everybody, Mrs. Norris here. So since DBQ Online is something that's new for most of us, I figured it would probably be best if we did a walkthrough. Now you should have just completed step 1 where you connected to our class and submitted a screenshot of that connection. Now what I'm going to do is walk you through the different tools that you can use or will be using in DBQ Online to complete this next DBQ. So before we get started, let's take a look at this task for right now. We're doing a walkthrough in a moment, not quite yet. We're going to log into our DBQ Online. If you're already logged into DBQ Online in a different tab, then you're perfect. This is just in case it's later down the line and you need to connect separately. You're watching this tutorial right now and you're going to become familiar. The whole purpose of this is to become familiar with the different annotation tools in DBQ Online that you will be using. And then in this tutorial, I'm going to give you some directions for what you need to do to move on to the next task. So you have to complete certain steps to be able to move on to the next task. So let's get going. So I'm pretending as if I'm not already logged into Clever. I'm going to go ahead and click on the blue C, and it's automatically logging me in, which is great. Now, I have favorited the DBQ project. If you haven't favorited it, it might be down at the bottom. Let me move myself over here. It might be down at the bottom down here, or you might have to search DBQ project in the search button. So if I were to do DBQ project, it's the first pop-up. Okay. Now I'm again already logged in. You may have to log in again using your student email information. So I'm going to go ahead and click my dashboard here. Okay, now you already have the DBQ, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to click on the view button, right? And we're not doing anything else. That really, I just want you to watch, because all you're doing in this assignment is just seeing what the different tools are. Okay, so if we start up at the top here, and our screens might look a little bit different, and that's okay. Excuse me. The idea is kind of the same. So I'm going to start from left to right. And the first thing we have here is we have the arrow. Now, right now, there's the cover page is the first page. So the arrow is grayed out. There's nothing you can do. But this is how you can toggle or go between the different pages. So if you need to move on something from prior page, or you want to look at a prior page, you can do that. Once you finish one, then you can click on the next page arrow on the right-hand side of your screen to go to the next page. Let's go back to the left-hand side. Excuse me. If you click on the drop-down menu, the little arrow, you'll see the different pages. And so if you want to go to automatically a certain page, you can click on that from the drop-down menu. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the cover. And again, you don't have to be doing anything but watching this tutorial right now. If you want to kind of fiddle with your own in a separate window, that would be fine as well. Now for my Spanish speakers, or if you're more comfortable reading in Spanish, you can click on View Spanish, and it will give you the document itself in Spanish. It won't give you any of my annotations in Spanish, but it will give you the document in Spanish, and that should be a little bit more helpful. And then you just click the X on the top left-hand corner or right-hand corner to get rid of it. Okay. This one does not have a reading, but oftentimes, and I'll show you like in the document itself, sometimes there is audio support. And so if you click play, just like in our class, when there's a long document, I try to give you audio as well, so you can listen as you are reading and following along with the document. I'm going to go back to the cover. Okay, now you can see that there are certain tasks. And when you kind of preview some of the things that we're doing, you'll see I've given you certain instructions on things I want you to do. And that's where these annotation tools are going to come in handy. So for example, on this page, it says, use a yellow sticky to type when the war happened. So here are my stickies up here. And all of this stuff comes from the annotation toolbar up here. Okay, now freehand means that I can freehand it like that. This is where you're going to highlight. Now let's say obviously I don't want that on my document, so I'm going to click on the eraser tool and then click, and that will disappear. Okay. We have our different colors up here. We have our different weights, meaning how dark the line is, as well as how thick or thin the line is. Okay, so we have opacity, means whether or not you can see through it. So when you're highlighting it, you want it to be at a low opacity. When you're writing something, then the line weight will be here as well. Okay, so we have our different colors, and when you're done, say highlighting a text, if a direction was to highlight it, then you click Stop Drawing. Okay, next we have our stickies. So if I click on it, I can change the color of the sticky. If my directions tell me to use a yellow sticky, then I'm going to use a yellow sticky. I can change the size of my font, but try to use the biggest size whenever you can. Okay, if I don't like this sticky or what I've written, or I messed it up, I can trash it. Okay, and then if I need to resize it, I can resize it like that. I can also move it around like this. Okay, I can also move it when it turns into the little hand, moving it like this. All right, so again, we can change the color. Try to keep the font size big, but we can also make it smaller, bigger, smaller, and then trash it when we don't need it. Okay, and just one more time to show you if you need to resize it. There's a faint blue square. If you click and drag it, you can resize the size of that sticky. A lot of times, like for example, on the documents, you'll see that there is a field where you can type information, but sometimes that's not there. So what you need to use is your, don't need that anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and trash it. What you're going to use is the text, okay? So plain text means I'm just typing. Maybe I wanna make notes to myself to use later or whatever. I'm going to type it here. I'm going to change the colors using here, and again, the text size, and then resizing. Okay, and then you want to make sure you have all the space on all of these sidebars to put stickies and notes. So that's what you can use the space for. All right. Sometimes I'm going to tell you to make a circle. So you'll do that using this. Again, changing the color and changing the size and moving it around and trashing it if you don't need it. We're not really going to use the buckets that much right now. I mean, we might use them in the documents later. You might want to use them as a note-taking tool, but you can, change the colors if you'd like. Go ahead and get rid of that. Sometimes I'll tell you to put a box around something, so the square will be good for that. And again, we can resize it and move it around to wherever we need to go, and also change the colors. Okay. And then if we need to draw just a straight line for anything, like if we want to underline something, then we would use the line. Okay. And then if we want to point out something, we can use the arrow. But most of what we're going to be using today or in this DBQ are the sticky notes, the highlighting, the text, the circles, and the squares. Okay, we're not going to use many of these other tools this first time around. All right, and really that's the only thing that we need to know for this. Again, when you finish a page, then you're going to click on the arrow, and the arrow will take you to the next page. Okay, now the directions tell you that I'm going to tell you what you need to do to be able to move on. So you should see in the top right-hand corner of your page here a mark as done. So you can mark this as done, and the next assignment will open up for you automatically.